influenced by the South Korean media. Why am I telling you this episode? Because I think this is a very good episode to show what perception they have from other countries. Firstly, he simply did not want to hear the reality. Officially, Pyongyang had decided to go for the Uri party, and I'm saying this is not my conclusion. This is, yeah. And they were, to their best knowledge, convinced that they could, with their means, avoid a government which they knew would be a tougher negotiation partner. To express skepticism about strategic political decisions is unthinkable in North Korea. Too much was at stake for North Korea after Kim Jong-il and Roh Moo-hyun had signed the agreement of October 4th. According to the Hyundai Economic Research Institute, North Korea would have benefited by more than $10 billion from South Korean taxpayers. Secondly, they want to leave no stone unturned to influence the public in South Korea. They are deeply convinced that the neglect, which from their perception was successful during the presidency of hardliner Kim Jong-sam in the 1990s, would work again. The missile launches, especially the short-range missiles, are destined to intimidate the population in South Korea. After the suicide of former President Roh Moo-hyun, they expected that people would rally again against the government as they did last year at the candlelight vigils, and this could, with their support, become the launchpad for a new social movement. The arguments that people usually bolster the government in times of uncertainty, also in times of economic crisis, are simply not accepted because it either does not fit to their interest or they don't want to admit their inability to assess the political situation in other countries. Fourthly, North Korea wants to influence the upcoming elections in Japan. The same applies according to Japan, where elections take place on August 30th. I'm not going into detail about Japan because I expected to have a Japanese speaker here, but my impression is that the DPRK again is doing one big mistake. In case the Democratic Party in Japan, the DPJ, wins the election, this party will not be less committed to the resolution of the problem of abductees, and I'm sure that they also feel seriously threatened by North Korea's nuclear weapons and missiles. Fifthly, North Korea wants to secure the transfer of political power. From my point of view, and listen very carefully, because it's a very important point, and I have a little bit different approach than many other speakers. From my point of view, it lacks any logic to conclude from Kim Jong-il's health condition that the stability of the regime is under threat. First of all, I don't see anybody who is going to question the leading role of the Workers' Party in North Korea. Despite the military-first policy, the military is and will always remain the military of the party. In this sense, the army remains the protector of the regime, the custodian of the people, and the guardian for North Korea, all in all, as long as the interest of the country's leadership is identical to the interest of the nation, whoever defines it. Secondly, the political system in the DPRK is a person-centered system. Kim Jong-il has never allowed himself to be challenged by anybody. Any nail that sticks out is always hammered down. North Korea's society is very much conformist, and it's better not to be too ambitious. The best policy is to either keep your head down or to always show your support for your superior. Hierarchy and respect is one of the most important virtues in the Korean traditions that stem from Confucianism. Some experts have assumed that the National Defense Commission could take over as some form of collective leadership if Kim Jong-il were to pass away before the issue of succession had been settled. I don't see this as a case, as there are reports that the third son, Kim Jong-un, has already been inserted into the political system. He was elected to the Supreme People's Assembly on March 8th. I believe that the role of the NDC will simply be to facilitate the transition. It will probably not take on a form of collective power itself. It is no coincidence, from my point of view, that Kim Jong-il decided to appoint people to the NDC who loyally served him during the change of guard in 1994. These people have no interest in changing the political or institutional framework in the DPRK. They are deeply convinced of the supremacy of socialism. Kim Jong-il obviously does not want to run any risk, but this could sooner or later turn out to be a big mistake. His probable successor, the political apprentice Kim Jong-un, has to build up a following amongst the new generation and not among the old generation. With the missile test, the chargé d'affaires, whoever it is at the moment in North Korea, but I have the impression that Kim Jong-il is in charge and he's ruling the country, he's running the country. Whoever is the chargé d'affaires in North Korea, the missile test sent out the unequivocal signal to the military that Sungun policy, military first policy, will continue to play a pivotal role in the succession as it did in 1994-1995, when the Sungun policy was introduced as a revolutionary idea of attaching great importance to the military. At the moment, the biggest danger I see for the leader of the country is that he might run out of time before completing the transition. Most members of the NDC are in their mid-70s. The youngest is Jang Song-taek, 64 years old. It is known that he has contacts to physicians overseas. The more important issue is therefore to ensure that there's no struggle between rivals and that power is vested in the hands of one man. I'm not saying that a collective leadership is impossible, but other approaches seem more likely and more plausible when one considers the system, the tradition, and the history. So who would have the final say in the process in case Kim Jong-il were not able to run the country anymore? Everything points to Kim's brother-in-law, Jang Song-taek, before he was sent on vacation in April 2004. For some time, he was the director of the powerful Department of Planning and Organization in the Central Committee of the People's Workers' Party. He knows about the importance of personality cult for the political stability of the country, without which the system would simply not work, and he knows that mass mobilization and propaganda is a key element of a socialist society. We know this from the former Soviet Union as well. Thus, in all probability, he is strongly backed by the two generals Oh Kuk-yeol and Kim Jong-chun was the mastermind and initiator of the 150-day fight, Let's Storm Race and Take Off on the Dragon Horse, Paekoship-il Jeon-2. This campaign also proves one very important thing, that at the moment we are witnessing a revival of Juche, which in an orthodox interpretation by some elder military is seen as being essential for the survival of the regime. Sixthly, North Korea pretends to be threatened by the United States of America. According to polls in South Korea, there is less and less of a perception that North Korea poses a threat. On the other hand, due to the fact that North Korea's leadership has been systematically fueling fear amongst its population since the Korean War, the fear of war in North Korea has almost become pathological. And you can see it and you can sense it, you can feel it when you walk through the streets of Pyongyang. The United States of America, with its strategy of extended deterrence in Northeast Asia, is seen as a military hegemon in the world. Like China, North Korea wants to contribute to multipolar response. North Korea does not believe in the September 2005 declaration that there are no nuclear weapons on South Korean territory. Its military equipment, which dates back to the former Soviet Union in the 1970s and 1980s, is in very poor condition. Spare parts are not available anymore. The armed forces are therefore operational to only a limited extent. And I totally agree to what Mr. Nam has said previously. The remedy is seen in the nuclear, their remedy is seen in the nuclear program and the development of a long-range missile to which the leadership dedicates substantial resources. Since the missile is usable as a vehicle for satellite or a nuclear bomb, it is most likely that the DPRK wants to build up a credible, fully operational nuclear deterrent. Insofar, the officials know that they are ahead of the Iranian nuclear program and show big disappointment that the US does not acknowledge this fact. 7th point, the North Korean, and two or 3 minutes, yeah. The North Korean military wants to sell its weapon and national resources abroad and generate foreign currency. Few facts are known about the so-called second economy of the military. The general manager for the military industry, Chon Byung-ho, he's 84, is member of the NDC, while in 2007, the sectors which were up for modernization were agriculture, and Ambassador MacDonald and I, we were at one seminar in October 2007 in Pyongyang together. It was interesting when we talked about the modernization of the sectors, 4 sectors, agriculture, IT, the banking system, and light industry. But this has switched somewhen in the first half of 2008 to key industry like heavy industries, energy, and export of natural resources, which are mostly run, by the way, by the military. The economic foundations of the military were also significantly strengthened in 2008. Besides the export of natural resources to China, the military does business with Iran, Syria, Myanmar, Ethiopia, Sudan, and Angola. That's what we know. It was only in the New Year's editorial of Rodon Shinmun, the mouthpiece of the Workers' Party, that it finally became obvious to everybody that the military had taken the lead. Having said this, let me conclude. First conclusion, what we need is a rational and comprehensive approach which reflects the experience of the last 15 years. Not just recycling what we have done already, and what we have made some experience, so it's no need to recycle it again. We need an accurate analysis of what happened in the last 15 years. Second conclusion, there's no alternative from my point of view to a preventive, unconditional, and constructive dialogue in the framework of the 6-party talks to resolve the nuclear issue on the Korean Peninsula. All countries involved in the 6-party talks should pursue proactive diplomacy in order to build up confidence. Thirdly, China, with its regional influence, plays a significant role, and this has already been mentioned, in the process of nuclearization, and I have the impression that they execute their role at the moment. Fourth point, fourth conclusion, the 5 parties need bargaining power. Fifth conclusion, more and more countries want to have access to enriched uranium for purely peaceful purposes. The review of the NPT Treaty in 2010 should set up a mechanism under which conditions for this might be allowed. Sixth conclusions, there are many motives behind the actions of North Korea which have to be taken into consideration to formulate a successful, comprehensive strategy for denuclearization. Seventh conclusion, if North Korea wants to become a prosperous country, they should return at an early stage to the Treaty of Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons, IAEA safeguards, and the 6-party talks. I'm a little bit hesitating, but I'm still, let's say, still optimistic that with a comprehensive and consistent strategy which reflects our experience from the last 15 years, and with a strong political will of everybody, at the end we can be successful. I can assure you that the Friedrich Naumann Foundation for Liberty and I personally will remain strongly committed to contribute to peace and prosperity on the Korean Peninsula. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Flick. You know, we have to conclude this session by, well, 6:50. We have 3-4 minutes. We have many experts here who had, you know, academically, the actual practically, you know, all those things. I like to hear their comments on things, but we are supposed to have closing ceremony from 7 o'clock. So what should I do? I will ask democratically. Actually, Professor Okonogi from Japan is not coming today. He was originally planned to sit on here, but I wonder whether he and Mr. Klitsch is a conspiracy or not. He just took all his time, and he spent half an hour. Contrast to other Korean speakers speak only 10 to 15 minutes. Anyway.
Thank you for your generosity.
Are you satisfied?
Very much. I buy you a drink.
Personally, I'm recipient of Frederick Naumann Foundation twice for the International Party Leaders Conference. They supported me to go Berlin twice, and he keep asking me, I have to have extra time. I say, no, you have equal time, but he spent more than other speakers. Can I ask just to short comment on these panel members? And I will ask a couple of persons to raise just quick questions. Would you like to comment some? Or the other panels, do you have anything? Dr. Che?
Actually, just one quick comment. Actually, I fully agree with what he mentioned, Dr. Klitsch. But actually, this based upon my observation, his understanding of North Korean reason, I have to say I'm so pessimistic, because all the reasons you pointed out actually drove me to the pessimistic way rather than the optimistic way.
Dr. Nam? Okay. How about? Okay. Let me just ask one question, one inquiry. What did you do for 12 times or 14 times in North Korea? Did you just meet the people and observe all the things, or what did you do?
So first of all, I'm enjoying nightlife because there's no nightlife. So we have to be back in the hotel at 10 o'clock every night. But anyway, what we do, we hold seminars about, and you mentioned already one seminar about accounting. We had one seminar in cooperation with the European Union about modernization of the economy. We hold seminars about modernization of the banking system, of trade, and so on, mostly about economic questions, about privatization, for example, as well. We provide them with materials, with books about market economy. And we meet, and I meet, of course, officials of the Workers' Party.
That's enough, Mr. Klitsch. Don't go further. I saw he eat the pizza at the Pyongyang city. Anyway, thank you very much. Ambassador Greg and Ambassador McDonald and Mr. Chua, Ambassador Yu and Spencer. I think all of you have some comment on this important matter because you are Korean Peninsula loving, foreign friends. I strongly believe that, but, forgive me. We don't have any time, so can you just extend our discussion at the dining table tonight? So can I just conclude this moment, or you'll sit down more? If you all agree, let's give a big, rounds of applause to the panel members this afternoon, and I will conclude this one. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, panels. Thank you, participants. Thank you very much.